Okay, thank you very much. I am Rachel Harris. I'm Managing Director of Elephant Human Relations Aid in Namibia, and this is my colleague Christin Winter. She's the manager of our Peace Educational Programme. We're here to speak to you today about our holistic conservation approach to a peaceful cohabitation of people and elephants in Namibia. Elephant Human Relations Aid, or ERA, was set up in 2003, and we are a Section 21 not-for-gain organisation. We are working in the northwest semi-arid region of Namibia with desert elephants. These are elephants that dwell in the desert. They're not a separate species, nor are they a subspecies of the savanna elephants. They're elephants that are special because of their knowledge of how to live in these harsh desert environments. ERA was set up because people and elephants need to coexist. As we've been hearing and as we all know, there had been a petition for all of these elephants to be removed, and there was a need for help and to get the situation in balance. In the main, we're financed through a volunteer project. This has also been going since 2004. It's meant that we've been able to be sustainable. We've also been able to expand the mitigation methods that we've been offering, and we've been putting a lot of effort through the marketing, through the professionalism with which we run the project, to ensure that it is sustainable. It's meant we've been responsible for our own success. So in the 1970s area, there was a war for independence in Namibia, and during this time, it's fair to say that wildlife, including elephants, were hunted almost to extinction. These elephants then left the area totally and were gone. At this time, the South African administration, that was still ruling what was called Southwest Africa, they moved different tribal people into areas which they called homelands. So the area where we're operating is formerly known as Damaraland, which was also home to the Damara people. By the mid-90s, the year 2000, elephants came back. And then there was a situation where, of course, people were living there, but a massive generation gap of knowledge. People didn't know how to live with elephants, didn't know what to do if they came to the farm, such as this one here, and more than often, behaviours were exacerbating a dangerous situation and causing aggressive elephants. In the main in our area, it's conflicts over water, which have been the biggest problem. These conflicts led to a lot of aggression. People and elephants both died. Of course, there's a lot of fear, and indeed, as we all know, fear breeds intolerance. This then led to this petition from the communities to the government to ask for the elephants to be removed, or even worse, actually culled. As you can see, this is a lady, she's a Damara lady, and people in our area are still living in a very subsistence manner. Houses are made from clay and sticks, and to have one elephant outside your door, let alone multiple elephants, is a really frightening prospect for people, especially if you just don't know what to do. And maybe you have seed pods inside your house, maybe you're storing water, so you're putting yourself in a very dangerous position. So, we are working mostly in the ephemeral river systems of Namibia, in this northwest area. The ephemeral rivers are mostly dry, they just flood, if we're lucky, once or maybe twice a year. We're working in the main in these two yellow highlighted areas, the Huab and the Uchab, and we have two separate resident populations of elephants there. Other desert-dwelling elephants do exist, as you can see further north in the other river systems, but in the main we're working here further south. Namibia's communal lands is also split into conservancies, and although we work with probably in total around 10-12, in the main we concentrate our efforts on the 4 conservancies which share the movements of the Uchab population of elephants. This is because there are many people living in this area, and these elephants have a really tough time, as do the people living side by side. New elephants are moving around all the time, and there's quite a gap in knowledge actually about other elephants. The area further east along the Uchab is now experiencing elephant movements. It's not actually a lot of elephants, but for a person living in a subsistence way, as I say, it doesn't matter if it's 1 or if it's 10. It feels like one elephant is a problem, basically. So we are working in this area. It's really back to square one. People are super intolerant because they're incredibly scared. And this area also has a lot of political sway within Namibia, which has already caused the death of one of the elephants from the separate population earlier this year. In total, the project area is about 25,000 square kilometres. So the population that we're talking about is really very small. It's just a total of 60 resident elephants. There's others that come in and out, obviously the bulls, but in the main we just have 60. The Cohab River tends to do better population-wise. There's not so many people living there, although there's quite a huge impact of tourism. The Cohab River has less tourism, but a lot more people living in the area. The Cohab population is really in a drastic situation. We only have 2 male elephants over the age of 25. The reasons for these low populations? Well, we're experiencing a drought in Namibia, so of course that has obvious impacts for the elephants. Human pressure, it's really the biggest thing. The Cohab elephants in particular, they can't walk a day without having some kind of human interaction. Whether they are drinking from a farm or whether they have a self-drive tourist, which is nowadays big business in Namibia. You can have your GPS, they can go on the small tracks all over the desert, and people don't necessarily know how to respect boundaries with elephants. So it can be that tourism is causing problems for local people. Maybe a self-drive tourist goes too close, upsets the elephants greatly, and later that day, they're in the school perhaps where we work, or even worse, in a small village, and it's the people who bear the cost of that. Tourism also, it can't be, it's great, obviously it's bringing income and that's actually helping to protect the elephants, but it's not very controlled. Overgrazing, people have brought in cattle and goats, and of course during the drought, and actually when it's not drought, there's a big competition between elephants and the cattle for grazing materials. Hunting is a reality. The conservancies all have hunting quotas for which they're able to earn revenue, and elephants are not an exception to that. In the main, it's not the trophy hunting per se of the desert bulls that's the problem, it's actually problem elephant permits. And the system for how these are decided upon is not sustainable, let's say. So this has had a huge impact actually. So what are we doing? This holistic approach basically means we're looking at how can we make the situation bearable for everybody? What are each of the areas that are making it impossible for people to tolerate living with elephants? Firstly, protecting their water sources and the infrastructure that's pumping that water has been of major importance. I mean, as we all know, elephants can smell water, so if they cannot get to access the water in the dam, it's very easy for them to push over this windmill, pull up pipes and leave a community without any water. We've been building huge big walls around water tanks, around windmills, and if there is a place for the elephants to drink, they're able to still do that. They just can't get to the infrastructure and cause damage. We do this through our wonderful volunteers, and we've built over 220 protection walls, but we have a lot of work still to do. In addition, we have a school partnership program. One of our schools has 250 learners. They actually have elephants within the school grounds during the dry season, so it's somewhat awe-inspiring to see, but actually quite a dangerous situation. We've built a 120-metre wall around the hostel block to make sure that the kids are safe after hours. We've spent a lot of time with our educational project there. We've given a lot of support in terms of renovating these government schools that were in very bad condition, and that's all been done through an international school partnership that we have with an excellent school in London. What happened with the school partnership project, and it actually came about because we wanted to help to start with, but we realised it's been absolutely key in getting the communities, getting our name known, and engaging the trust and the respect of people, the traditional authorities and the conservancies, all of the families of the kids. So it's been a great way for us to broaden our reputation, and of course that makes it easier for our message to get across. The other thing that of course is really difficult for people is the financial pressure that they're under living with elephants. It's really not fair to ask a subsistence farmer to be paying out of their own pocket to buy diesel to pump water for elephants. There's one lady that we will help with a new program we've started to replace diesel pumps with solar, Namibia, of course, has plenty of sun. And she asked us, please help her with the solar system. She understands she has to live with elephants. She's okay with that. But if she doesn't have enough diesel to pump water into the borehole, they come to her house. And there she has drinking water, and there she's in a dangerous situation living in a traditional house. And I think that's fair enough. I don't know where she goes to even buy diesel, how she gets there, how she even gets cash actually to buy the diesel. So taking away this financial pressure will make a huge difference, we believe. In addition, for 2020, we're going to start a conflict relief fund, and this is where we're going to ask all businesses that benefit from the area to put some money into a fund that we're able to use to quickly deal with any problems that elephants have caused, whether it's a water tank that's been broken that needs to be replaced quickly. You know, there's lots of people that make money from the area that don't contribute. The self-drive companies, the car hires, well, they don't give anything to the conservancies. The catering companies, the linen companies from the lodges, fuel stations, food shops. There's lots of people that could just put a little bit of money into a fund that would really help everybody a lot.
Okay, I'm going to continue. So obviously a very, very important and essential part of ERA's conservation program is research and monitoring. So we've been collecting data and have been monitoring these elephants from the beginning, which enabled us to compile complete ID manuals. And that is essential because we need exact counts of these elephants and a good population breakdown. And why is that important? Because of their extreme seasonal movements. Okay, between the two rivers, it's about 18,000 square kilometers, which is vast. So in the past, people and the government have been largely overestimating this population, which has then led to overhunting. So that is actually key to manage this population sustainably. By now we can anticipate their seasonal movement patterns, and that enables us then to be ahead of the elephants. So if we know by spring the elephants move in that area, then we go ahead, try to prepare the farms again. Okay, is everything in place? Is everything protected? Do you know what to do? Okay, cool. Well, good luck with the elephants then. All of the information that we're collecting, we're sharing with the government, with the Ministry of Environment and Tourism, all stakeholders, including the conservancies and other traditional authorities. That is super important. So, for example, this map is just our elephant distribution map. It shows the boundaries of their movements. So this is also important so populations are not confused with each other. So the yellow elephants here that you see are the Cohab elephants, and the black ones up in the northern river there in the Huab, those are the Huab elephants. And you see there is a bit of exchange going on between the rivers, which is fantastic for genetics, because you've seen it's a super small population. Towards the east, you can maybe see some purple elephants. Okay. Yeah. So those are the elephant sightings from our new extended project area. The area is called Okongwe, Omojete, and those are not conservancies. So there is no real governing structure going on these lands. That eastern population does not walk towards the west, and interestingly, the western population does not walk east. So the elephants stay in the riverbed during the dry season because of the big, large trees and the seed pods there, and during the wet season they move out of the river. People live all alongside the river and on the mainlands, and they also herd their cattle and their goats in the riverbed. They also look for the same seed pods, they also feed from the same trees. There's constant contact between elephants and people, and elephants and cattle. So Rachel quickly touched on that. Elephants in the past have developed very destructive behavior, which is probably unavoidable when there is so much contact with people. So those elephants are quite quickly called problem elephants. But there are indeed some elephants that then people are not able to live with anymore. So for example, elephants in the past have, not elephants actually, just an individual, has then learned to break houses regularly, several at night, over a long time. Break houses and then excess food or water stored inside. Sometimes people have slept in there. So that is obviously not only traumatizing, but also puts the people's life at risk, but also, in the long term, the elephants, the whole population's life at risk, because elephants teach each other good tricks and their knowledge, and that has indeed happened. So it is essential to identify that culprit. But how do you do that when it all happens at night? Nobody's got a visual. Because that small population, we can't just, it doesn't help to shoot the wrong elephant. It doesn't help. It would be devastating, in fact. So it is, we now have collected, what is it, 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. We've collected photographs of all the bull elephants' footprints, because it is mostly bulls that do the problems. Okay, so since 2014, all of the newborn calves in the Cohab River have died. About over 50% of the newborn calves in the Cohab River have died. We suspect that it's the drought, but also inbreeding could be a problem, as of the low number of the bulls. So we have collected all the dung. We're looking into this now. Since August, 6 of the young elephants have developed these nodules on their trunks, so we're also looking into this now at the workshop here, and try to learn more about that. And absolutely essential for future conservation is education and the promotion of local leadership. So the Peace Project is the education branch, and was started in 2009, stands for People and Elephants Amicably Coexisting. People actually wanted to learn more about the elephants and how to be safe around them. So we concentrate on schools that are located in elephant habitats, and here we focus on safety around elephants and how to understand their behavior better in order to keep yourself safe. We hope that this creates appreciation for the elephants in the long run, so they want to take care of their elephants. We do community projects, many workshops with the people that face the conflicts constantly, and here we focus on reducing the fear. Because fear is the main driver in aggression towards the elephants, which then in turn creates aggression back towards people, and that leads to sometimes fatal confrontations. But obviously we teach how do you defend your home in a way that doesn't put yourself at risk, but is effective against elephants. So there is many methods, but also obviously conflict mitigation methods, how to protect your water and your farm. All of the knowledge that people have learned, they do share, and that creates a ripple effect. Rachel mentioned about that increase in tourism, which on the one hand is great, on the other poses a risk. So here we do about 2 big courses on tour guiding for local tour guides in Namibia, and we focus on respecting elephants. Very clear message, respect the elephants, because these elephants live with people, and everything guides and self-drivers do around those elephants has an impact, immediate impact on the conflict situation. In September and October this year, we've started our Elephant Guard program. So traditional authorities and conservancies have identified key individuals of each community, and that then will become the first point of contact during elephant-related emergencies. They also will start to combat conflicts themselves by sharing the knowledge that we also share during peace projects with the community members, and also all the conflict mitigation methods that they have learned, the cheap ones, the effective ones, everything that people can do themselves. So this program is promoting local leadership, because these guys already have such a large influence within the community already. So they will be able to spread a positive message much further than we would have ever done on our own.
And lastly, I suppose the question is, can we say that we have made a difference? Are we successful in what we're spending all this time and energy doing? Well, as we all know, it's really challenging. This bull elephant was our main breeding bull, and it's fair to say he was fairly notorious and known for being a very gentle giant. He was shot as a problem elephant in June this year because of complaints that came from these new village areas that we spoke about. He never went there. So the only thing that we could bring about a positive side of it, because it of course was terribly distressing for all of us, was that it displayed a massive change in attitude. from the conservancies that, if you like, owned that elephant. He roamed within 4 conservancies, and 3 out of the 4 are now calling for a ban on the hunting of these desert elephants and an absolute tightening up on the use of these problem elephant declarations. So I think as the theme of the day is, elephants aren't okay if people aren't okay. And I think that's something we will have to focus our energies on a lot. Thank you very much.